Psychologism, as we can see here, is a doctrine that emerged in the 19th century. It is in this period the psychology became very scientific, and so it is called as psychologism. When the scientific study of psychology was conducted, it is called psychologism. So Husserl, because he was influenced by Brentano, and so he moved toward psychologism. Husserl, when you will read his book about his philosophy, you will understand that he has shifted psychology to something else that we have read or understood last class, that is phenomenology. So his explanation of psychologism is mostly about intentionality and consciousness. But why he chose to study intentionality and consciousness in phenomenology and not psychology? Interesting? Yes? Yeah. So he chose to study intentionality and consciousness in phenomenology because subject psychology could not cover this vast concept. As you know that psychology is empirical, it's very objective, and to cover this concept like intention, consciousness, you need something beyond psychology, and therefore he jumped towards the science of phenomenology. Let's see in detail, and we will understand why Husserl has given critique towards psychologism. So, here it is very much clear that psychologism is close to empiricism, because you know that psychology is an empirical science, and the psychologism is a kind of empiricism. Okay, so Brentano, let's talk about Brentano now, because you know that Brentano is a teacher of Husserl, and whatever Brentano talks about, Husserl gets inspiration from that. So Brentano thinks that such an ideal of being scientific for psychology is wrong, and he tries to establish a new and special method. Brentano also tried to develop a special method, but he was not as successful as Husserl. He tried to give a special method where he will bring a different opportunity to psychology by giving it a method of natural science, right? Because psychology and natural science is kind of different, and he wanted to give psychology a different covering to make it become more scientific. And so what he will do, he will try to combine the concept of psychology and natural sciences. But Brentano fails here. Brentano was not able to do so. And so he directed his attention to investigate the psychological phenomena. When he was trying to understand the psychological phenomena, he was not able to do so. Why he was not able to do so? Because he saw that psychological phenomena, if you want to study it, like for example emotion, dreams and everything, you have to be very empirical. You have to study the experiences, you have to notice the phenomena that is going on and all these things, and therefore you cannot always imply the method of both natural sciences and philosophy. So what he will do, let's see, he will try to define the concept in a way that is descriptive. So his view was mostly descriptive psychology, and this is only the fundamental philosophical method, and this is against the transcendental. This is very complicated, so we won't go in detail, but let's just understand till here only that Brentano's view and the opinion that he shared was not so successful in defining the concept, the method of consciousness and intention. And so Husserl role came into play. So Husserl talked about intentionality. He says that intentionality is a kind of essence of consciousness. Essence means, what is essence? Anyone? Essence is coming from the word essential. That means without intentionality, there is no consciousness. Yeah, exactly. Right. So without this, we cannot understand consciousness in a better way. And we know that consciousness is always about something. When we talk about consciousness, we will say that he is conscious of something. He is conscious of being like being attentive or being aware. All this thing is called consciousness of something. Alright? So Husserl says that to mean signifies to intend. If you want to define anything, if you want to define any meaning of anything, then you have to intend toward it. And therefore intention is very important for Husserl. Now Husserl has denounced psychology. He has rejected psychology. I just told you that he rejected psychology because the explanation of consciousness was not adequate. It was not proper, and therefore he has rejected psychology. He has rejected psychologism also. Psychologism as defined by Brentano is a subject which covers both philosophy and psychology. It's a combination of philosophy and psychology. But Husserl has rejected psychologism also because he was not satisfied with the discipline's concept and explanation of intentionality and consciousness. Something was missing. He said that something was missing. The subject was not able to handle the concept in a larger detail. It was not easy to explain the concepts like consciousness, dream, emotion, and therefore Husserl was looking for something else. So he has given critique to everything. This philosophy also, psychology also, and this, not philosophy because phenomenology is a discipline of philosophy only, but he has given critique to psychologism, psychology, natural sciences, all these things because they are empirical and they are not able to cover the concept like consciousness, which is too subjective, too personal. Okay, so here let's see, he denounced psychologism on the ground that it is impossible to reach objective truth with the science of psychology, which depends entirely on individual experiment and real factual world. And instead of that, he develops the science of phenomenology, which investigates the essential structure of consciousness in order to derive and describe the universal and necessary truths of experience. So this thing, if we will divide into 4 parts, first part said that he rejected psychologism. Second says that because it was impossible to reach to the truth which is true to the individual itself. Third part says that therefore to investigate the structure of consciousness he needed something different. And fourth part says that so he aimed towards something which can describe experience as a universal and necessary truth. Because you all know that experiences are not universal. And if you want to make it an universal truth, then you need some science that will look at it from the wide angle view. And therefore Husserl was towards something else. So his criticism and his rejection of psychologism is detailed in his book Logical Investigations. Okay, now let's see about the Husserl's most important book, the Logical Investigations, where he rejected psychology as the foundation of Logic. Like here we will discuss the three phases of logical investigations. In the first phase, he has rejected psychology as a theoretical foundation of logic. In the second phase, he characterized by the beginning of his establishment, like he started towards his own phenomenological philosophy while he abandoned Brentano's descriptive psychology. So I also told about the descriptive psychology of Brentano. Husserl believed that even the Brentano's descriptive psychology was not successful in defining the concept of consciousness, and therefore in the second phase he established his phenomenological philosophy. And here he gave very important concept that you have to study. He said that philosophy is a rigorous science, and he criticized psychology with a sort of criticism of naturalism within epistemology. Very important. He said that psychology is not useful because it is a kind of naturalism within epistemology. What does it mean? Naturalism, you know that it concerns a natural phenomena that is very natural and very unique to us. Within epistemology, epistemology is something which is related to knowledge. So here he described philosophy as a rigorous science. Okay, here we will go to the details of it in the later classes, but what is rigorous science, why philosophy as a rigorous science, we will understand all these things. But now let us just focus on this criticism of psychologism, and that at the last he also criticized psychology of this thing we covered. So in the third phase he wrote about ideas, where he developed about the phenomenological philosophy by completely rejecting psychologism. Okay, so it was in the third phase of his book Logical Investigation where he has completely rejected psychologism. So in the first the first instance when I was starting the lecture, we talked that Husserl has rejected psychologism, right? And why he rejected psychologism? Because of all these points that I have covered till now. So this is a very important book, Logical Investigation, where we can find that how he has rejected psychologism. So all these phases are also very important. Okay. Now we know that in order to stay away from psychologism, naturalism, and also positivism, which is you know that it is a branches of philosophy now. So Husserl develops the method of phenomenological epoch. Have you heard about this before? I don't think so that you have heard about it. No. Phenomenological epoch is Husserl's brilliant concept where he has said that we have to abandon the belief about understanding the world. If we keep on abandoning every kind of belief, and then we will reach towards the truth. And that truth is very important because that truth leads us to consciousness. After abandoning everything, after rejecting everything, that is called as phenomenological reduction, there will remain only one thing, and that is called as pure consciousness. So our main intention is to reach towards pure consciousness. Okay, so this is the reason Husserl says that we cannot study consciousness in psychology because psychology cannot reject everything, right? Even positive science, natural science cannot go on rejecting everything. It is only under the phenomenological concept, phenomenology subject, that we can reject everything, every belief to reach towards a goal that is pure consciousness. So here some kind of role of intuition could also be seen, because if we want to reach towards the essence of phenomena, then there is the role of intuition also. Okay, so this was something, and this is very important. Phenomenology is a subject which is a science because it is true and it is about consciousness. It is still not psychology. This is also very important because he has separated it. He has separated the branches of psychology and he has shifted it towards phenomenology. And he started studying consciousness in phenomenology because in psychology you cannot go on rejecting everything, because once you have accepted an idea, it is truth. But here what he is saying, he can reject the truth itself for reaching the higher truth. And that is very important, which has led him to develop the phenomenological idea. Okay, now here according to him, psychology is concerned with empirical consciousness. Empirical consciousness is something which is empirical point of view. So you know that once it is empirical, you cannot reject it. You cannot easily reject it. And therefore phenomenology, because you have to reach to the pure consciousness, which is a higher form of consciousness. Alright? And this is also important since you are talking about phenomenological investigation, and you should know that this investigation is purely, truly a priori. You know, a priori, that is not yet has been experienced well. So there are two concepts, a priori and a posteriori. A posteriori is something which you have experienced, a priori that is not yet experienced. Okay, this is the add-on point. So now we have understood the critique of psychologism, and we have enough details also to write our answers about Husserl, about Brentano, about psychologism, and about the rejection of psychologism and the introduction of phenomenology. All these things will be covered when you will be writing your answer. So here let's see this last point, the conclusion point. So the intention of Husserl is not to develop a new psychology. He was not into developing a new psychology, but he was developing a new science, which will provide the foundation for all the sciences of mind, which include psychology also. And therefore, he gave the concept of phenomenology as the science, which is pure transcendental. Okay, so you can read this point and you will understand everything in gist, that his concept is not to reject psychology or challenge psychology, but it was a critic. Why critic? Because he was into developing a new science, which will provide the foundation of all the sciences of mind. Right? So I think this concept is very much clear to you.